فَتَقَبَّلَهَا رَبُّهَا. Then her master accepted her. Her master accepted her. Now the question is, who does the her go back to? Is it the mother or the daughter? Right? And this is part of the eloquence of it, that in some sense it applies to both. The mother and the daughter. Okay? بِقَبُولٍ حَسَنٍ. With the best possible kind of acceptance. In other words, not only did he accept her prayer, he accepted her in the most beautiful way. بِقَبُولٍ حَسَنٍ. He welcomed that supplication. وَأَنْبَتَهَا نَبَاتًا حَسَنًا. Ambata means to sprout something. Like when you water plants and you let water come onto them, you're doing imbat. He allowed her to sprout. This is ambata. So what Allah does in this ayah is similar as a verb at least to what farmers do with a plant. Okay? They do imbat also. They make things grow in the garden. Now tell me this. If you put the water on the ground, you have the right kind of soil, it's getting plenty of sun, it's getting plenty of water, you're making sure no weeds come in, the seed is there too, everything is right. You've done your part. Does that necessarily guarantee that the plant will be healthy? No. At the end of the day, you can do your part, but then there's the plant. Will it take that water? Will that plant be ripe? Will it benefit from the sunlight? It's like a student and a teacher relationship. The teacher can do, for example, I picked that one on purpose. So a teacher can do everything on purpose, maybe try to do his best he can, go out of his way. But there's a student who's just refused to learn. You can argue that the teacher did his part, but that doesn't guarantee that the student will do his part. You follow? The same thing happens in parent and child. Maybe a parent did his part. Yaqub alayhi salam did his part. We can't doubt that. Amazing parent. Right? He did everything he could. So who do you get to blame when his kids mess up? Who didn't take in that tarbiyah, that training, that development, that advice, that counseling, that parenting? Who wasn't able to take advantage of that awesome opportunity? The children. They weren't able to take advantage, at least not early on in life. Later on it kicked in. Okay? Now, Allah says, ambataha. Which the ambata form, ambata yumbitu imbat, implies what Allah did. If it was only talking about what Allah did, we would have read ambataha imbatan hasanan. Ambata yumbitu imbatan. The sort of students know that, right? Ambata yumbitu imbatan. But we don't read that. We read ambataha nabata. Now, nabata is the plant itself. Nabat is the infinitive of the plant itself. So where the Arabic expectation was ambataha nabatan hasanan, Allah says ambataha imbatan hasanan, Allah says ambataha nabatan hasanan. Yani tawa'at, she conformed. Allah made sure He gives her the best possible opportunity to sprout, and she herself took in that and took full advantage of that and did everything she could to have the best possible advantage to that upbringing also. So Allah actually captures her effort and His favor both by saying ambataha nabatan. It's beautiful that Allah gives her credit to her character in this word too, nabatan. If He said ambataha imbatan, all the credit would go to Allah Azza wa Jal. But Allah Azza wa Jal compliments her character also in saying ambataha nabatan, and then gives her quality of an adjective also, nabatan hasanan. These are the kinds of things that are almost impossible to capture in translation. Even if I tried to sit and write about it, I probably wouldn't be able to. My head would start spinning. I'm not a good writer anyway, right? But this stuff, it's so important to not overlook some of these things because they're so beautiful. What Allah Azza wa Jalla captures in few words. أَنْبَتَهَا نَبَاتًا حَسَنًا وَكَفَّلَهَا زَكَرِيَّا. Now, interestingly, later on in Quran, we're going to read two guys get into an argument over some sheep, two brothers. Maybe the word brother is used because they're really close to each other. Because, the Arabs have things like رُبَّ أَخٍ لَمْ تَلِدْهُ وَالِدَةٌ. Maybe it's a brother that the mom didn't give birth. This is my good friend. You call him brother too. إِنَّ هَذَا أَخِي لَهُ تِسْعٌ وَتِسْعُونَ نَعْجَةً. This is my brother, he's got 99 sheep. I only got one. But he tells me, أَكْفِلْنِيهَا. Make me in charge of it. أَكْفَلَ, يُكْفِلُ, إِكْفَلْ. To make someone in charge. Here we find what verb? كَفَّلَ. It's a different pattern. This is أَكْفَلَ, and then there is كَفَّلَ. What's the difference? Akfala, he's taking over a sheep. Does that require extensive care? No. But Zakaria is going to be given charge of what? A sheep? A child. And not just any child. Laysa dhakaru kalunthan. This girl is not like no other boy. She's special. So Allah made sure, in this form, kaffala with the shadda, taf'eel form, takfeel form, It's Allah gave him full responsibility, an extensive responsibility. He gave her fully in charge of Zakaria, and also implies Zakaria alayhi salam went out of his way to take care of her all the time and continuously. Kaffalaha. Instead of just saying akfalaha Zakaria. Okay, wa kaffalaha Zakaria. So Zakaria alayhi salam took full care of her and went out of his way to make sure that he takes care of her. Here's another thing. There are some in the Orientalist tradition. They don't just attack Islam, by the way. They attack Christianity also. Okay, they don't spare any religion. Okay, and when they attack Christianity, they attack the relationship of Zakaria alayhi salam and Maryam salamun alayha. Okay, they attack his integrity. Now, the way Allah protects that accusation in the Quran is He says not that Zakaria took responsibility of her. Kaffala, the subject of the verb, can actually be going back to Allah. Allah put Zakaria in charge of her. Meaning Zakaria is not the fa'il, rather Allah is the fa'il. Huwa kaffala. Allah put in charge, like ambataha nabatan hasanan. Wa kaffalaha Zakaria. Allah put Zakaria in charge of Maryam salamun alayha. What that implies is you can never question the character of Zakaria alayhi salam, because Allah Himself took responsibility for that. Allah Himself took that. Kaffalaha Zakaria. You know, this is not just a Christian tradition, but actually, you know, some of the people of the book also have horrible things to say about prophets, alayhimu salatu wasalam. And Quran on many occasions, the way it talks about them, especially prophets of the people of the book, it protects their dignity against those accusations that have become commonplace among them. Like, you know, when a story gets passed down generation after generation, you've heard it in Sunday school, or in some cases Saturday school after Saturday school, for generations. Right? Then eventually that's what happened. So they started casually believing certain things about prophets that are just completely out of line. So Quran comes to the defense of those kinds of things. For example, it was very common among many Christians that Isa alayhi salam was mean to his mother. Like in some passages of the Bible, he just calls her, getaway woman or something to that effect. Right? He just talks like, and so what does Quran do? Quran makes sure it records the statement of Isa alayhi salam, وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي, and I am good to my mother. I guess a direct response to a possible accusation that's existed for centuries in that tradition. No, that wasn't true. He was always good to his mother. And he declares it himself. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي. That's how Allah has sent me. You know? So here, وَكَفَّلَهَا Zakaria. So Zakaria alayhi salam, her uncle, he's her khal. In Urdu we say khalu. In Arabic we say khal. Okay, khal, which means maternal uncle. Sorry. Yeah. We got it all messed up in Urdu. So, كُلَّمَا دَخَلَ عَلَيْهَا زَكَرِيَّا الْمِحْرَابِ. Every single time Zakaria alayhi salam entered upon her, he came to see her in the mihrab. وَجَدَ عِنْدَهَا رِزْقًا. By the way, I didn't talk to you, I talked to you about the linguistics of أَنْبَتَهَا نَبَاتًا حَسَنًا. I didn't talk to you about one of its implications. What does that actually mean? That Allah sprouted her in the best possible way. It said, رَبَّهَا الرَّبُّ تَرْبِيَةً حَسَنًا فِي عِبَادَةٍ وَطَاعَةٍ لِرَبِّهَا. That Allah made sure that she's raised very enthusiastic and obedient to worship Allah. Like she was very proactive in constantly worshiping Allah. And so she did what she's supposed to do all the time. Was constantly engaged in worship even as a young child. So every time Zakaria alayhi salam would come to see her, enter upon her into the mihrab, the quarters, وَجَدَ عِنْدَهَا رِزْقًا. He would find provision with her. And Allah did not specify to us what that rizq is. Some Israeliyat tell us these were fruits from out of season. She would have fruits from out of season. Not like we have Walmart, so that's different. But like she actually had fruits from out of season without refrigeration or artificial hormones injected into them and preservatives and things. So Zakaria alayhi salam is shocked. How do you, because this is months of travel, you're going to mess up that food. Fruits have very small lifespan. So he sees this out of season rizq with her all the time. And he says, قَالَ يَا مَرْيَمْ Maryam, أَنَّ لَكِ هَذَا. How come you have this? Lucky you have. Okay? How come you have this? قالت, she said. Now she didn't say هَذَا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Because the question was, أَنَّ لَكِ هَذَا. Where did you get this? How did you get this? How come you have this? The answer would have been, this is from Allah. She doesn't say هَذَا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. She says, هُوَ. And she doesn't just say هُوَ مِنْ Allah. She says هُوَ مِنْ عند الله. Ulama comment, عند is here احتراما لله عز وجل. She said, عند, respectful, being respectful of Allah. This is especially from Allah. Not just from, if it was from any other creation, she could have just said min and then the creation. But she says, min indillah, respectfully for Allah. But she says the word huwa. Now think about the word this, and then think about the word it in English. I won't go into Arabic, okay? This and it. If somebody says, what is this? And somebody says, it is a gift. It is a gift. Which one of those two words is more comprehensive, covers possibly more than what meets the eye? It is a gift or this is a gift? When you say this is a gift, I've pointed at something and it's limited to that. When you say it is a gift, then you've made it far more than what is here. It's like she's saying this and the time before and the time before and the time before, and whatever blessings you see, the roof over my head, the health I have, the clothes on my body, all of this is rizq, especially from Allah. She's very eloquent in how she describes this provision. Huwa min indillah. And then she adds, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْزُقُ مَن يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. No doubt it is Allah. He provides whoever He wants, without any restriction, without any audit or limitation. Zakaria alayhi salam, himself a scholar, a prophet, a scholar of Bani Israel, an imam of the masjid, the one who reminds others. I mean, after all, when the angels came to him, what did he tell the people to do in Surah Maryam? And sabbihu bukratan wa ashiya. You know, he told people, go make tasbih. By indication. You know, Allah told him not to speak to people. So some people ask, how did you tell people to make tasbih then? You can't do that? You can do it, right? So he pointed at them and said, go make tasbih. Night and day. Night and day, go make tasbih. Now, the thing is, he's the one giving people reminder all the time. But right now, he's just gotten a reminder from a child. He's just gotten a reminder from her. And when he got a reminder from her, that's the greatness of prophets. They're not always in the position of giving a reminder. They're always also ready to take reminder. So the moment he takes the reminder, he thinks of making dua for himself.